Hello, everybody. I believe we are live. Always uncertainty.
You're muted.
Oh, am I? Ah, I was muted on the Zoom call. That's what it was. I was muted.
Oh, okay.
Would have been a whole hour of me just. You just having to guess what I'm saying. But yeah, no, here we are. Here we are. The 23rd installment of the Movie Buffs. And yeah, well, I mean, I started. How are you doing, man? How you doing?
I was just going to say you're very ignorant. You wouldn't even say hello to your co-host.
I was about to get straight into it. I was like, well, I don't think we can be experts after today
Yeah,
because shit's gone
we can't.
down. But I'm like, maybe I'll talk to you first.
We
Maybe.
can't talk about what we had for dinner or what we did lately because we just don't have time for that today. But I'm good and I'm ready to talk. Loads of positive news today.
Well, I mean, it's been a bit insane, but thankfully, today we are not alone in dissecting everything that we've had to do. We've got a few people stopping by. Hopefully,
Yeah,
it's
we
always
have
a bit uncertain, but
Krypton Cage is he's coming in a few
the
minutes.
man, the myth, the legend himself.
Yeah, he's also my co-host at Real Talk Live. Then in about 30 minutes we got Nick D coming in and Brian, two other Irishmen. So
Yeah.
you're outnumbered, and then I think they're staying around for about 30 minutes or so, and then after they leave, Seal Abdul is coming in to talk about the SambaTV numbers because he talked to the head guy over there. So it's back to show today. So
It is indeed.
yeah,
We've had a few shows where it's just been yummy, and I think for our sanity, it's nice to have other people to talk to. Well, I need to
and
bounce
other
off.
people.
Yeah, I gotta bounce ideas and conversations off somebody else. But no, it's fine.
Yeah,
We have fun, but it's always nice, especially with something like today. Like it's a bit insane with other things like I don't know Falcon and Winter Soldier. You've obviously got restrictions, like people haven't watched it, people aren't caught up, whatever. But this today
yeah,
is like everyone hears what's going on, and it's a bit chaotic. So people will
mm,
come and go over the course of
yeah,
the next like hour and a half or so. I have to be on top
yeah.
of things. I'm telling people when they can, when they
Jump in.
join. Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's like the we did that stream on your channel, right before Justice League came out. You know,
pre-party. Yeah,
yeah, pre-party, and we were like segments. So I have these people on for like 10, 15 minutes, little break. These people 10, 15 minutes, and then it ended up being about 15 of us on for about 2 hours
yeah.
straight.
Yeah, I told people times, and they all just jumped in at random time. They all just jumped in together at the one time. I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah,
oh
no,
my
that
god,
was
it was
it's
still
just
still fun.
oh hell yeah, and it's always great to talk about all this
Yeah.
nonsense with other people. And
We've got Sickness is here. He goes, "What's up, guys?" We've got Marvin as well. Those two guys watch every stream, I think. So that's they're
respect,
pretty loyal,
respect you guys.
loyal followers of the channel. So those guys are pretty cool to watch.
We'll remember you.
Plus,
We'll have a plaque on our 100th episode.
yeah, exactly.
Maybe
Yeah,
one I draw on like
maybe
Microsoft
actually,
Paint or something, so I don't have to pay for it because
yeah,
that'd probably be a lot of money.
yeah. Those guys been around. We'll definitely have those two on the show some of the time as well. Just talk about movies, of course, because we're moving up.
Anything else?
Yeah, yeah, but no, it's like there's loads of news to talk about today, and just to get your thoughts probably quickly on the Black Superman, Kal-El. What do you think of that?
I mean, this is again. I think so. That the general consensus was that we knew something was happening today. Something was going to drop, and this story drops, and it's kind of like a bit of a nothing burger. It's kind of like stuff that we knew the whole time. We knew that this was a plan. We knew who they'd been kind of drafting in to write the script. We knew that they were going to do a Black Superman story, but it's quite strange that they're not going down the Calvin or is it Valzod? I might have just
Calvin
butchered
Ellis,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
Calvin
So
Ellis, yeah,
it's quite strange how they haven't, it's like, okay, here are Superman comics, here are Black Superman comics. And I saw a tweet about it literally about 10 minutes ago that I thought was a really perfect way of summarizing it, where they said, imagine if Marvel said, we're going to do a film with a Black Peter Parker when you've got Miles Morales right there, who, as recent years have shown, people really like him as a character. It's like,
yeah,
you literally have if you're so insistent on like duplicating Marvel in certain formats, you literally have a perfect example of what to do here. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm not a fan of what they're doing. I've no problem with the Black Superman, and I think that goes without saying. But I'm not a fan of how this has basically been like a bit of subterfuge. Like, it's been a bit subtle to try and say, hey, look, this is the story that everyone's, getting worked up about. And then we've got this Toby Emmerich thing. Don't worry about that. We just release that and slide that out of the way. So it's like, not only is a black Superman, a black Kal being used as tokenism by Warner Bros. To say, look, we're not racist. We have a black Superman. But they're also trying to use it to deflect heat from executives as well. So it's just wrong on all fronts. I don't think probably like 99.9% of people do not have a single problem with there being a black Superman. Just like people don't have a problem with there being a Miles Morales, right? Because it works. But this is not the way to go about it. I think, people might disagree, but I just think this is like a car crash, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse, and more cars are hitting the pile up.
Yeah. Like, imagine if they said the next Captain America was going to be Steve Rogers' son or something like that, or like if they had, Sam Wilson is there, and we know by the comics he becomes Captain America, or even if they went for another white Captain America, like, people will be uproar over it. People will be very annoyed when you have Sam Wilson there, established as a hero now, and they just showed us how to do it perfectly in the Black and Winter Soldier series. But yeah, you look at that article and it's like you just told us stuff we already knew, or stuff that's already been announced, or like the Joker sequel, like that. Like, is that going to happen? I don't know, but it was being talked about for a long time. We already knew Matt Reeves' Batman is outside the DC universe. We already knew that Jason Momoa, Ezra Miller, and Gal Gadot are the only really members of Zack Snyder's Justice League and are going to be staying around for multiple movies. Like, these are stuff that we already knew. So you're right. It's kind of like a PR stunt to get everyone away from Toby Emmerich.
Which I think is just going to be even if you're going to try and do the black Superman for representation and diversity, to try and say, like, you're not racist or anything like that, I can't help but feel that I would just be, if I was one of the people that Warner Bros. Was trying to, claw back and say, look, we're not all that bad, I would just feel insulted by this. It's like, you are literally just trying to use this movie as a way to deflect criticism from yourself. But there's one thing that I thought about earlier, which is, now that Zack Snyder is in this place where he's just not involved with Warner Bros. That heavily, they don't seem to want him, he's happy with Netflix, there's no, like, redirect to him now. Like, previously, up until the Snyder Cut came out, it was like bad shit that happened in the DC universe, they could just pin on him. Like, even stuff like Suicide Squad, they were like, oh, it's, it was Zack was trying to push for this tone, and the general, like, discourse around DC was Zack Snyder bad. So Warner Bros. Were like, we got a free pass to do what we want, and we can just pin anything on him. Now it's like every tweet I see, everyone who's like up in arms about this Superman movie and whatnot, they're directing everything at Warner Bros. And saying, you have no idea what you're doing. So I think that's a win, because it's, it's a bit more accountability, and, we've seen Ray continuing the pursuit, doesn't care where Toby Emmerich goes, which we'll talk about that later, but it's just painful, because it's like, you have a character, you have Calvin, you have Val, you have these characters that people know exist, at least comic book readers know exist, and there are ones that you can show to the general audience to be like the general audience probably doesn't know that Miles Morales is a character, and then after Into the Spider-Verse, they're like, he was amazing. And then you got the Spider-Man games, and you have all of this stuff, and how do you get that so wrong? But then, at the end of the day, it's not necessarily that they executed it wrongly, it's that they were using this news to kind of camouflage what came out like an hour or so
today
ago.
is Henry Cavill's birthday, and they put out big Superman news. Today should be a celebration of Henry Cavill being the most successful Superman of all time in terms of already box office. Like, he's a very popular actor, he builds a PC and it trends all day and stuff like that. He's just popular. Like, he was the guy chosen to come in with Zack Snyder and announce the Snyder Cut was coming. Yeah. So, and like, The Witcher's a pretty popular character. His Mission Impossible character was pretty popular as well. Even talks might bring him back to future movies because he was that popular. So, what happened in that movie. But it's disrespectful towards the talent again. On the man's birthday, one of your stars, and you're just announcing a new Superman. But like, Calvin Ellis is a black Superman from the comics, and they're just completely ignoring that character. There's so much backlash online right now. Actually, I see people saying, "Oh, they're very hypocritical because all the stuff with Ray Fisher and they're preaching representation and diversity and stuff. They can't even look after their own talent they have right now that are of color." Ryan Chow is a character, the Atom, completely moved. It's just a big movie. Like, it's meant to be seen what exactly was going on. But yeah, it's pretty weird, and it's annoying to be a DC fan. Like, I'm glad I like Marvel as well. Like, the Phase 4 trailer, the other day that came out.
Yeah.
Got me actually quite emotional. It was a really well done trailer. You got Stan Lee talking over,
Yeah.
over some of the movies, and you got the theater reaction to Captain America said Avengers Assemble. Like, that's amazing. That feels like a universe. You're with these characters. There's a story, and it felt like a universe was building with Zack Snyder's Justice League, because you've been with Henry Cavill nearly 10 years. You feel like you've been on this journey with this man, Martha Kent, Lois Lane, Martian Manhunter, Harry Lennox's character. You just feel like a universe was actually building. And then it's just ripped from underneath you, and you have to go look forward to, I don't know, Static Shock or Plastic Man. No disrespect to those characters, but I don't think anyone's looking for a Plastic Man movie right now. I don't think
there was a phase, right, where you had like, okay, Zack has his plan for like a universe. It's not identical to Marvel. He's just got this like 5-film spine that he wants to do, and then everyone else has their own sandboxes, do as you please, right? And you can kind of find the links. Then it went through a phase of, okay, now that Zack's kind of out the picture following, Justice League in 2017, it got to a point where it was like, okay, we're going to just let directors do what they want. We're not going to go for a fully tight-knit universe like Marvel. We're just going to let our directors just kind of do as they please. And if films overlap here and there, like you have with Birds of Prey, kind of making the connections to Ben Affleck's Batman and stuff like that, even something like a Suicide Squad post-credit scene, if the films have their links here and there, like Shazam with the Batarang, I thought was a really simple, easy way to root it in a universe, but not take attention away from the film. So we went through that phase of like, okay, this is how it's going to be. And I was like, okay, if we're not going to have Zack Snyder's plan, I'm a fan of this, right? At least it's some kind of cohesion, but at the same time, it's Warner Bros. Saying, directors, do what you want. And then we come out the other side of that with people like Kathy Yan saying, oh, there was interference on my movie, and you have all of these, and we learned a lot more about what's happened to Zack. We learned a lot more about what's happened to David. And then we get into the point where just every single announcement, Warner Bros. Just seems to do the entirely wrong thing, like without fail. Like, oh, okay, well, we're going to have this great Flash movie that's going to be multiverse stuff, but we're not going to do an origin story for him first. We're just going to go straight into multiverse. And Ben Affleck isn't in it. Oh, now he is in it. Oh, Ray Fisher was going to be in it and a really crucial part of the movie. Now he's not in it. Oh, Superman, this kind of objective good that Henry Cavill Superman is. No, we're not going to have him in. We're going to have Supergirl come in, and it's like a lot of, the overwhelming majority of us don't have problems with having a Supergirl, with having Michael Keaton, with having this, but it's like there just seems to be no like plan in any way. It's like that mentality of letting directors do what they want. But Warner Bros. Is just like, I don't give a shit now. I'm just going to look the other way. It's like, you got to have some kind of control over the whole thing. You don't need to be Kevin Feige here, but like everything you do, you are doing wrong. Even though all of these individual films in isolation actually sound really cool, which is what I think is the biggest shame of the whole thing. Like the Flash film actually sounds, on its own, sounds great. But then when you have all the context behind it, it's pain.
Like if we had Man of Steel 2 or a sequel to Man of Steel coming out, or we knew that Henry Cavill was going to be in Black Adam, or we knew that Henry Cavill was going to be in Shazam 2, there wouldn't be this much controversy over another Kal-El, Black Kal-El from a different art 100 years ago movie. There wouldn't. We know, like when Robin Pattinson was announced as the Batman, okay, Ben Affleck stepped away, but now people are kind of okay with the Batman movie because Ben is actually kind of back. He was in the Snyder Cut a few months ago. Now he's going to be in the Flashpoint. Who knows what's going to lead to him? He may even have more projects. People are kind of open to watching Robin Pattinson because he has his own thing. Ben Affleck's back as well, but just to be in the dark about whether Henry Cavill is Superman or not, like, just be honest with your fan base.
Yeah.
And the thing about the big people did a comparison of the MCU slate compared to the DC slate. I think people were comparing, DC got more cooler, kind of riskier projects. And I was like, the Marvel one is guaranteed to happen 100%.
Yeah.
All those movies on that slate are 100% going to happen. These ones over here at DC, okay, the first 4, because they're in production right now, they'll happen, but the rest, I'm not too sure, So I just think how can you say one is getting better when they do shit like this the whole time? And then they have the Snyder Cut numbers, of course, talk about that later as well. Just completely ignoring that. It's huge in China right now.
Yep.
And they wouldn't even make a theatrical release for Zack Snyder's Justice League. Here's Netflix now doing a massive release of it in terms of pandemic, massive, third biggest theater in the US is the Cinemark, is it, or
Yeah.
Cine something,
Yeah.
is doing it. So like that's pretty cool. And I don't know, it's pretty annoying, and there's so much backlash online. This is causing people to be very annoyed, especially on Henry Cavill's birthday.
Yeah, I mean, like, no recent announcement has like ever gone well. Warner Bros. Always trends, and as soon as you click on it, it's someone just dunking on them. So the first impression anyone gets, even if they don't give a shit, is they go on it and it's like, oh, people are angry at Warner Bros. Again, And I thought it was quite interesting. Ray Fisher put out a really great tweet earlier where he said, usually I have to say something, and then that will cause Warner Bros. To come up with something like this. Now it's just Warner Bros. Like trying to plug every hole, and they're like, oh god, we can't, there's like another news story coming out, we've got to try and say something. But I mean, you take a look at the state of things, you have an exec like Toby Emmerich, who is just basically public enemy number one, and now he's trying to get a job at Netflix, and they don't want him. And it's like, well, can you blame them? It's just
the biggest job ever I've ever seen in my life. Basically saying, I'm a free agent in 18 months. Netflix, you want me? No, it's
I would feel so sorry for Zach at that point. The fact that he's, finally kind of escaping from one of those clutches, goes to Netflix, they say, do whatever the hell you want, and then all of a sudden he reads a story that says, Toby Emmerich might be, is trying to come to Netflix.
Yeah. I think the main guy over at Netflix, wasn't he like a producer on Dawn of the Dead with Zach or something? So they go back a long way. So I'm sure your man, the guy knows like what Toby Emmerich's like. He's not going to hire him and Zach. Like, if you want to keep Zack Snyder around,
who's going to be making you like more money? Who's going to be doing better PR for your company? It's going to be Zach, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
But I mean, it's just it just goes back to what I was saying. Like, it really sucks because, as I said, in isolation, so many of these projects sound really, really cool, and then it's just as soon as you attach the drama around Warner Bros. To it, it taints the whole thing, and the amount of disrespect they showed. Like, I like the Shang-Chi thing where Marvel dropped the trailer for the movie on Suma's birthday. To say, like, it was like a surprise. Whether it was a real surprise, I don't know. They said, here's a poster that you get to drop, and then they dropped the trailer on his birthday. And then Warner Bros. Are like, yeah, bye, Henry Cavill, we don't like you anymore. It's like, just that disrespect. And you would not blame any of these actors for wanting to step away at all. And it's like, you think I think Zach recently said, like yesterday or whatever, he said that he was afraid that Warner Bros. Were going to sue him if he supported the release of Snyder Cut movement. And it's like, that's just insane. Imagine cultivating that kind of atmosphere around your your star members, that they're terrified. It's
we've got a few comments as well from Sickness. Have you guys heard the song Black Superman from the 90s? It's dope. Every time I hear the Black Superman talk, I get that song stuck in my head. I haven't heard it, actually. I'll definitely check it out.
I heard it first through the Netflix had a series about OJ, and they did David Schwimmer from Friends is in it.
I've seen that. I probably heard it actually. I never thought.
It's when they're walking back. They're walking back into the courtroom. I think it's like the penultimate episode or something like that. And that song's playing. It's a really good song. I love it.
Yeah. And then Barcy B is here. He's always here for our streams as well. He's just finished class. So I hope that was pretty good, man. So yeah, we have our regulars are here, but it's just disrespect to the talent, and then that seeps over to disrespect to the fan base, because we're not stupid. We can see what they're at. We can see every time Ray Fisher said something, a big article come out, and then they go and they put out this big article about Frosty the Snowman with Jason Momoa. Disrespect to him again over a project that he doesn't know about, and he's just being used to cover up Ray Fisher, and then he comes out and calls bullshit. And Warner Bros. Don't even acknowledge that they did that. And you got Zack Snyder as well, just huge disrespect to him and his movie in terms of not even marketing it whatsoever. The fans basically marketed that for him, and I know there was trailers and stuff, but like they could have, Warner Brothers could have marketed that movie big time. It wouldn't have killed them to put it up on their YouTube channel.
Well, that's also a good point that you talk about with the different channels. The weird thing about Warner Bros. Right now is it's just the US branch of it or whatever. Like, even the main part of the socials that has nothing to do with Snyderverse stuff. But like, I saw today, it was like the French Warner Bros. Twitter account and the UK Warner Bros. Twitter accounts said, happy birthday to Henry Cavill. They're like constantly saying good things and sharing things about Snyder Cut distribution. It's like, everywhere else it's like, yeah, this is great, but the main one, the US one, wants nothing to do with it. And it's just it's very, very strange, you know. But
Oh, I apologize, Barcy Beach, because she's a she. Sorry, hard to know all these avatars and names. What people's gender is.
I know. So I got a huge like whiteboard. It's just off screen and it says everyone. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
but
it's hard to know all these avatars. Hard to know what people. But I apologize. Sorry. But yeah, I totally agree. And, yeah, so it's like I'm guessing that like Tanishi Coates will write a pretty good Superman movie. But why pick Kal-El? Why not pick Calvin Ellis or Paul Sod or whatever the character B Sod or the character is?
I'm really. I mean, this is the thing. There's a lot that goes on that we don't know about, right? And we spitball half the time as to what's going on behind the scenes, but you would just, I don't know. I feel like if I was in that position and I'd seen everything that Ray had been going through, I'd be like, why the hell would I want to get subject to that? And how is it not like blindingly obvious that the Black Superman movie is 90% of the time just referred as a Black Superman movie? Maybe that's just something that we're doing, but it's like
we get an article every 3 months. I'm writing it. Oh, cool! You're still writing the same movie that we heard about 3 months ago. Yeah, but I won't have it ready for December though.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. That means what?
Yeah.
How am I supposed to get excited for a movie that's not going to come out until 2024 or 2025?
This is the thing. It's like, but it's like it's so like obvious that this movie is just it's just a device for a studio. It's not a movie that they really want to make. It's not a movie that they probably really care about. It's just they're like, we need to do something because we're in a PR nightmare. And it's like, okay, how you do that is maybe a bit easier said than done, but you need to sacrifice someone there, like be it Hamada or Emmerich, and you need to just, if you were like the shareholders, you were saying you guys there's like 2 or 3 people that are single-handedly dragging down this entire company. Off one of them, like not kill them obviously, but get Hamada out or get Emmerich out and make them the fall guy. At least something, just some kind of effort to clear your name. Doing a Black Superman movie that's just a pure tokenist move, it's just going to make you look worse. Yeah. And I don't know how they don't know that.
But it's not going to change because it's just the rotation of the same people.
Well, exactly. But it's like at least buy yourself like a couple of months of people off your back. If you say like, this is the problem, this person is responsible for all of this, it's like, even when there's overwhelming evidence of, people coming out and saying, oh, Jeff Johns did this, Hamada did this. There's no like, okay, we're gonna, we got to sacrifice somebody here. Instead, you have like them posting about, Asian and discrimination and, minority discrimination the other day, which Ray Fisher was rightly aggravated at. It's like, well, yeah, like you guys are just not handling anything correctly. Just sacrifice one exec, just send them off, give them a pay package. All right, that might come out in the news later on if it's like, oh, Warner Bros. Paid them off or whatever. But it's like, you would think that if you were a company, if you had like any brain cells, you would just try and make a sacrificial lamb and buy yourself some time. But they can't even do that, It's ridiculous. I'm not saying that, pay off an exec and let them have a happy time. I'm saying that there should be full accountability. But like, if you were a company trying to save your own ass, how have you not thought about this already? Like,
yeah, what's going to happen is what happened with Lucasfilm. They pissed off the fans so much. Box office got smaller and smaller for a fucking Star Wars movie. That's like, I know the same kind of happened with the prequels. The first one was a massive hit because everyone was so excited. The movie wasn't that good. The next movie, box office went down. We went back up then for the last one, but like, you're just pissing off the fans. But that's one universe. The Star Wars is one universe. Like, the Mandalorian can come along and save the franchise for a little bit.
Yeah.
They can figure out the big budget movie stuff. But then DC just has so many universes right now. They got the CW, they got HBO Max, they've got Stargirl universe, they've got the Snyderverse, they've got the Batman, they got the Joker. They're all okay. I don't mind them doing the multiverse. But pissing off fans while you do it is just it's just ridiculous. Like, you can have, I can't. Like, okay, maybe it might be too expensive, maybe for the Snyder Cut continuation, and that's okay because just tell us that then. Just tell us this is a very. Maybe in a few years, if our subscriptions go up, we're able to compete on a better level. We can fund this. But in the meantime, we can give the Snyderverse a Deathstroke series, or a Henry Cavill 2 will happen in theaters, or Superman 2, Man of Steel 2. But they're not connected with their fan base whatsoever, and it's like they want to abandon the Snyderverse fans. But we're also not just Snyderverse fans. We're DC fans. We want to watch
Yeah.
Other movies, like I went to go see Birds of Prey. I went to go see Shazam. I seen the Joker movie. I'm looking forward to Batman. I'm looking forward to the Suicide Squad. Like I'm a DC fan, but you're pissing me off.
It is amazing. You're bang, hit the nail on the head there. That any bit of communication would mitigate so much of their concerns. Like if they literally just come out and said, "Look, we appreciate there's huge demand for the Snyderverse to continue. However, I mean, at the same point, you could see it as being really bad PR if they said they don't have it's not financially viable to do sequels to this. That might turn people off and say, oh, well, you're not a very big streaming service then if you can't finance this or whatever. So to an extent that I can kind of understand. But yeah, to say, there's all this going on that we appreciate the demand. And yeah, like a Joe Manganiello Deathstroke series, where there is the passion, where there is the demand, where there is the incredibly minimal expenses relative to a huge film, make it a mini-series or whatever. There you go. You've just, got people off your back for, a month or two, or, even way longer until the show's out, and people are like, oh, that was really good. I'd love to see some more. I'd love to see them bring Ben Affleck's Batman into the second series or something like that. Anything you do could literally just save you so much time and hassle. But instead it's just no, let's just aggravate everyone even more. Let's not talk to anyone. Let's not communicate at all. Let's keep making the wrong decisions. It's, just the slightest bit of communication, even just going on Twitter for 5 minutes, you would see exactly what the fans want, right? It's not hard.
Even Marvel got people so excited the other day that the Fantastic Four logo came up.
Yeah.
And it's not they're like, okay, we don't know who's going to be in this. We don't know when it's coming, but don't worry, it's coming. I imagine if there's a big DC slate and Man of Steel 2 logo came up,
yeah,
and that would get people so pumped. They'd be like, we don't know when it's happening. We don't know who's actually going to be in it, who's directing it, but it's going to happen. Like Christopher McQuarrie, the director of Mission Impossible movies, he said he had a script, he had an idea, brought it to Warner Brothers, and they just shut him down completely.
Yeah.
I don't know if they listened to him. He found it very disrespectful. I think that's why he just stays over at Paramount now working with Tom Cruise, which isn't a bad idea. But
can't blame him for that.
But he wanted to do something, or was it a Green Lantern or something? He wanted to do something. Probably Superman. He had Henry Cavill for that Mission Impossible movie, but disrespect. That would have been cool. That would have been in the works a while ago. Maybe we would even be getting close to watching it in theaters or streaming. But yeah, it's annoying. But then we have, of course, the Chinese numbers seem to be pretty big at the moment. We got a member joining, do we?
We have Mr. KC is here. Might be getting crowded very quickly. I will let our other two guests know that they can join. We can have 5 people. We can do it. I will have to adapt at some point. Let me just say,
hey.
Yeah, we have the. Hello, KC. What's up?
Sorry, I'm late. I was just trying to set up and my laptop kept hanging.
Oh, okay. You should get yourself a cool little phone like I have. Never gives me technical issues.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that. It's not even launching. I'm literally waiting for a new phone, and it's supposed to launch. Yeah. It was supposed to launch last week, but it still hasn't launched. I'm just waiting for that.
First world
so
problems.
One day I will be on your quality. Don't worry.
But KC, thanks for joining. What do you think of Black Kal-El Superman?
Oh, we're jumping right in.
Yeah.
Well, I think that if they had this planned in a more non-political way, people would have liked it, and I probably would have liked it as well, because I like seeing different characters. I'm always about diverse character choices, and not just racially, just different characters, the non-famous ones. So I'm always looking to learn about new characters, but since this is very much not the motive for doing this, I don't feel good about it.
Yeah, because we know about bigger meaning behind all this. We're not stupid. We can know that they're trying to get rid of the Snyderverse or get rid of Henry Cavill and just kind of push us into this new direction with a new Kal-El, which is weird when you have Calvin Ellis, the Superman Black from the comics. I'm sure a lot of people of color read those comics either now or when they were younger and were inspired by that character, and maybe that's what made them into Superman. And to see Superman as a black character must have been very, I don't know how it feels like, but it must have been very, very good to see that. But now to see the Kal-El is going to be, it's going to be a black Kal-El, it's different.
Yeah.
But but this movie's not going to come for another 4 years, nearly 3-4 years. Guy doesn't even have the script done. Then they have to go into pre-production, casting, for shooting. Like Man of Steel took nearly 2 years to make. So, like,
I would say, do you even see this movie surviving that, given Warner Bros. Track record? Do you even see Warner Bros. Actually following through, or is it just like, obviously the main reason for the announcement is, I would say, primarily diversion, and it's incredibly disrespectful to the character and the people associated with it and whatnot and the fans. But
Yes.
is it entirely diversion, do you think?
Yep.
Okay, well, thank you, KC.
no-
We'll see everyone next time.
That's why we
No,
bring
it's-
Casey in, because he's just
He's
gets to the point.
He's straight to the point.
Yeah, not just about diversion from, whatever's happening. I think it's just another it's funny because it's Superman, because he's trying, his goal is to protect people, right?
Mhm.
So it's funny that they're using him to protect themselves from being called racist and all those allegations. So I think that the main reason they went for Kal-El, regardless of Henry Cavill or the time frame or anything, I think the main reason they went for Kal-El is because they want to show everyone that they can make their main superhero, the main character of their universe, a black character.
Mhm.
And by having that narrative, they can immediately say that, oh, we're not racist. Look what we are doing with our most important and the face of the DCU, whatever character. Because regardless of what Superman movies make today or how popular the comics are, Superman is the archetype for all superheroes, right? Marvel, DC, or anything. So he's still the biggest superhero of all time, right? So having him be a black character and, done by a black director, black actor, whatever, it's just, it's cool. It's cool to see, obviously, and we need more of that. But the only thing that taints my perspective for this is that the reasons are not honest.
Yeah, like Superman is probably the most known symbol in the world next to the cross, Jesus Christ, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always translate over the box office, and that's something that Superman has never been able to do. Like gross over, like Batman v Superman was an example, but a solo Superman movie to gross like something like Aquaman did or the Transformers did. It never really did that. I know they're expecting it to do that, even though it's not in the tradition of the character. And the highest grossing standalone movie was Man of Steel. Team up Batman v Superman, most streamed movie you could say was Snyder Cut. So like this character was obviously working under Snyder's guide, and now they just want to abandon it because it proves them kind of wrong.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. They are an extraordinarily reactionary company, and it's like, if you think that, I don't know, Superman's going in the wrong direction under Zack, it's like, okay, well, take a look at his movies and rank them in terms of how they've been received and correlate that with interference from a studio. And you'd say, okay, well, Zack Snyder's Justice League, which is arguably like his, ultimate piece that he got to do free of restrictions, is his best received movie. And then you compare Man of Steel and BVS, and Man of Steel, the one where he didn't have the studio breathing down his neck, and he had Nolan to, keep them at arm's length, was the next best received. The worst received one was the one where you guys had the most interference. So is it just a crazy idea? Maybe just let him do his thing, I know you panic and you want something that's in line with the MCU, and maybe that's, well, we know that's not what Zack was going to go for, but I don't know. It's that desire to be something else has just kind of completely eroded any sense of like difference that Warner Bros. Had. And that's bled into how Superman has been treated and how he's now essentially just being used as a token just to help them. As Casey said, he's the guy who helps everybody out, and all of a sudden Warner Bros. Need him, or a different version of Kal-El, to help them out. It's quite ironic, but also quite depressing.
Yeah, and I think sickness goes. Flash and Black Superman aren't going to do well in theaters. A Flash movie could be saved by Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck being in it, because they're big marketing tools. If you use that in the marketing of Batman, if those movies don't do well at the box office, like, that's going to be pretty bad for DC going forward. And I don't know, but in terms of Black Superman, traditionally Superman hasn't done amazingly at the box office, and I don't know, but they.
I think one of the reasons for that is that they never had a great Superman movie that would appeal to everyone, right? Man of Steel, regardless of what you think of the movie, it is not widely accepted by everyone. So there's that for Man of Steel, but Superman Returns was just not a good Superman movie. So with this Superman, so it's basically like a reboot, and that's actually very interesting to me why they went this route. And hello, Mick and Brian.
Everyone's joining right as you're trying to go on to a great point. I do have to apologize as well. Casey was temporarily muted for like 10 seconds there, but it's fixed now. I was just trying to get him to shut up. Everyone's here now.
Damn.
No, of course not. Well, thank you everybody for joining. First of all,
hey guys,
this
how
is
you doing?
Not too bad. How are you both doing? Brian, how are you? Down there.
Grand.
Mick, how are you? Mick.
To me, it looks like I'm right beside you, but you know, I'm doing grand. It's a long day, but it's over now. So
Very nice.
I'm also grand. Had a good long day of work, so just jumped off now, and I'm on here looking to talk to you guys. So, how are you keeping? Looks like a nice day outside at the moment. It wasn't earlier, but it's looking better now.
No, it's been typical volatile British weather here. We had hailstones earlier, then a bit of rain, and now some lovely sunshine for the stream. Just for the stream.
Fun. Yeah.
For me, the day got just better.
we have hailstones here, and we're right in the middle of the country here. But it's good to have two of you guys come in and talk. And just like today's full of news, isn't it? With Bobby Emmerich and Black Kal-El Superman, and of course the Chinese streaming numbers for Zack Snyder's Justice League. But just Mick, to get your thoughts on this newer version of Superman, Kal-El, not even Calvin Ellis from the comic books.
Right.
What's your thoughts on all this?
I haven't read too deeply about what the decisions are or anything like that, but like sounds like something they should do and do eventually. I'm not sure. Like, yeah, I mean, the timing of the announcement, everyone's talking about that. I'd be curious to see, any new incarnation of Superman, but like, it's a bit weird to be saying like this is what we're looking at and still have zero announced plan for your existing Superman. Like before, like say Zack Snyder's Justice League, or say Justice League 27. Let's say Justice League 2017, which is their canon. That was 4 years ago, right? They haven't announced anything about what they're going to do with this character since. They have zero clue what they're going to do with this character, whether they're going to use Henry, who's super popular, even people who maybe didn't like Man of Steel or Zack's universe. I think everybody universally likes Henry Cavill as Superman. He looks the part, he does a good job, he plays the role well. So like how they've managed to like botch their use of him is phenomenal, because he's their number one guy. Marvel's over there making movies about everybody. You saw the recent slate. So these guys are just incompetent. They've no idea what to do with their IP. And so yeah, I mean, a Black Superman, I'd watch it. I'd see it. I don't know when they plan to do it. It's probably going to take them years to get this thing made and out. I don't know if they've any script or anything right now, but like, yeah, sure, do it. But like, in what context? After Henry Cavill, are we going to see more of him first? It's just more FUD. It's just more uncertainty, and it's just more. It really just makes it look like sort of I don't know, hype announcement, but for what is essentially what they always do, which is vaporware. Wasn't Steven Spielberg supposed to direct a movie for DC at one point?
Yeah.
Blackhawks, that's right.
Yeah, years ago. Remember that?
Hmm.
How many other things have they announced? So, look, it's a news article. That's all it is to me right now. But yeah, I'd watch it. I'd be interested to see it. Cool.
Yeah.
But
And
what's your Superman plan? I don't know.
yeah, there's not like we're not saying none of us will watch it. Of course we'd watch it, but it's the kind of dishonesty towards the fan base and not telling us what's actually going on. And like it's disrespect to the talent they have. Like Henry
Yeah.
Cavill's birthday, and this announcement comes out. Jared Leto was Joker. They announced a Joker movie, and they used his shoulder in Birds of Prey, a headless cameo for Henry Cavill and Shazam. You know, countless other things like this going on. It's just disrespect to the talent. And then, of course, we're not stupid. We can see every time Ray Fisher speaks out, that would be the news. Or any time the Snyder Cut seems to be doing a little bit well, they put out some news. Like,
Yeah.
we're not stupid. We can see this, and it seeps over to the fan base. And they're going to have something like Lucasfilm had with the Star Wars fans. They're going to cause a big fraction between it. And that will seep into box office. The Star Wars Disney trilogy box office decreased as time went on. Solo didn't even do anything at the box office. So I don't know, they're pissing off a lot of people. But Brian, your thoughts on Kal-El, Black Superman, and Henry Cavill?
Well, I mean, it would be a shame to see Henry Cavill kind of lose the role. I mean, like he's kind of somewhat iconic in it now at this stage. Everyone knows who he is in the role. When people see Henry Cavill in things, they say, "Oh, that's your man. That's Superman." You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I mean, it seems crazy to drop him. But at the same time, you know, the WWE are going to do what they do. It's a damn shame that they do the things that they do, but the WWE are going to do what they do. In terms of a Black Superman, I mean, I'm all for any kind of new incarnation of Superman. In terms of I mean, what I'd like to see from it, it's difficult to see exactly what context it's going to be in, where it's going to fit, because it seems to me like they're looking to like completely diverge into a completely different kind of universe and just slot their way in there. And Henry Cavill's just going to be over in whatever they were doing over there, and it's just going to be left alone. That's my concern. But I'm sure, you know, a new Superman, sure, why not? Give me it. I'll give it a go.
Yeah, of course.
Do you guys see this movie surviving the next like 4 years? Do you actually see it actually happening, or is this a well, this is a question I put to KC just before you joined. It was, I'm of the opinion, I think the majority of us are of the opinion that it's like 99% diversion, 1% we're actually going to do it. But then there's the other part where it's like, or is it just 100% diversion, and then in about 2 years we'll just say the, you know, Black Superman led movie is it has been cancelled.
We're just going to have to see where it goes from here, I think. We're going to have to take the announcement at face value. This is what their plan is, you know. So we're just going to have to see exactly how it shakes out from here, how things develop. If we start seeing the production kind of pick up steam, gain writers, gain production staff that are actually going to start making it and stuff, we're just going to have to wait and see. But yeah, based on past experience, I don't know. I wouldn't put money on it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't take anything they say at face value anymore, because I think they're dishonest people, and I think they're dishonorable people, and I think that they have like really just blown any sense of like, I know that like they're still making the DCU. Well, I mean, they still have a vision for, I guess, some of the characters that Zack created, and they want to take them in a different direction. And I assume those things are still going to happen. And they'll, you know, Aquaman 2 will probably make money because Jason Momoa is a big star. Wonder Woman 84. Who knows how that would have fared if we weren't in COVID times, but it wasn't well received. It was mixed received, and you know, box office wasn't great. Again, COVID times and everything else. And this model that they have with HBO Max, where they do, you know, the cinema and the release on HBO Max. Who knows if that's even going to survive past COVID? Because you know, there's no question that if you put stuff on HBO Max, when theaters are able to be full, they may not be as full because people won't go, right? People won't go as much. It will definitely hit it. It's going to be some sort of impact. And what do people care about? Do people care about box office numbers or streaming numbers? And we've seen how good they are at talking about streaming numbers. So it's a big kind of mess at the moment. And so anything they say, can you really trust anything they say? I don't. So when this article comes out and says they want to make a new Superman, a Black Superman, I'm like, okay. It's just another piece of news. I'll probably not think about it beyond today. because who knows if they're serious about this or not. You just don't know, and it's just their own. It's not like they've created a situation for themselves, right? Because they've been dishonest throughout the entire last few years. So it's just face value. I don't really take them at it.
Yeah, we're talking about Toby Emmerich and possibly leaving his role in 18 months from now, and but like once he leaves, there's going to be someone else with the same mentality coming in. You know, it's just a rotation of the same chair maybe. And I don't know if he would Anne Sarnoff and Walter Amada if they can get better. But do you see any hope for? Even I don't even know if Zach wants to come back, but any hope for any expansion of the Snyderverse whatsoever?
Well, it's hard. It's definitely hard to see it ever happening with Emmerich there and potentially with Hamada there, because they have an idea of where they want to go, and I don't see anything changing that. Like if Zack Snyder's Justice League was going to change that based on its performance, we all know it did well, and based on the reviews, which we all know are excellent, then you would imagine they would have been sort of celebrating that and talking about it. Where it's been sort of radio silence, and it doesn't seem to be like accidental radio silence. It's very deliberate. Like across the board, nobody's talking about it, right? So this is an agenda of sorts. So right now, those people don't seem to have any interest at all. So not with them in place. But I just read just before I came on, I saw the article about Toby floating an idea of him going to Netflix or whatever. It doesn't sound like something a secure and confident chief executive is doing, talking about floating, going to different places, right? So I don't know whether, like, it's hard to know. There's no quotes, there's nobody's name in that article. So is that some maneuver trying to push him away from somebody else, or is that him putting it out there for some reason? I don't really understand the benefit of that article. But again, it's just more uncertainty, right? So there's very little confidence in what's going to go on over there. But you asked would like Snyderverse continue if he was gone? There's still obviously Walter Hamada and what he wants to do. And how much of the agenda is set by Toby or Walter? I'm not sure we all know the facts there as to like where that direction comes from. Would Walter Hamada be more open to taking, because he's DC Films, right? So would he take that in a different direction with a new CEO who gives a mandate to say, hey, look, the fans seem to want this. We can do both. Maybe you take this, and maybe we install somebody over here who can take this on HBO Max, which was what we all expected would happen. That there'd be a HBO Max division, which there was, and then a Warner Brothers Pictures theater division, and they were separate for some time, and then Toby sort of took over both, right? And then that's when a lot of things changed, right? We weren't talking about series anymore, and there was a lot of changes around then. So with him gone, maybe, you never know, maybe HBO Max gets more independence again, and maybe it starts looking for its own content that isn't having to serve the cinema audience, which was kind of how, like, the money model for Zack Snyder's Justice League, it probably never would have made it to theaters, right? Because there wasn't going to be enough people probably to show up to theaters, who knows, right, to see this. But the streaming model made sense, because you look at how much people invest in TV series and mini series and even movies that are direct to streaming. It's quite a lot. So that could potentially come back, who knows, if Toby's not in charge of HBO Max related stuff anymore. But then as to whether Zach would come back, it's only a question he can answer, right?
Yeah.
And here he is.
But no, it's a good point about are these HBO Max / movie cinema releases going to end up just in theaters because vaccines are rolling out? Godzilla v Kong did well enough. Our theaters going to get back to full capacity? And I was saying it last week or week before. Like, what do HBO Max have to offer the people of America to subscribe if all the theatrical movies are back in theaters? There's no Matrix 4, no Godzilla v Kong, and Zack Snyder's Justice League created the hype that it did. What do you have left for us? Well, not us, but people over there to subscribe. There's a Harry Potter series coming, but that's years away. Game of Thrones animated, years away. Lord of the Rings, they sold it off, or it's over at Amazon now. So, like, it's the Snyderverse is the biggest HBO Max original that they've ever had, and silence.
Yeah. And it's interesting, but like the whole change as well that we're talking about, where Toby sort of took over, like the decision then was made. So when Zack Snyder's Justice League was originally announced for HBO Max, that was a huge driver of subscriptions, right? Because that was a reason to go there. There wasn't the movie theater stuff there as well. So HBO Max were quite, I think, dependent on that, right? Because they didn't have Godzilla coming to HBO Max at that point in time. They didn't have all this huge slate coming there. That wasn't part of the deal. The HBO Max was not that. But then it became that, and then HBO Max's dependency on Zack Snyder's Justice League, I think, sort of lessened a bit because they had all the sort of huge, big movies that were coming to their platform, and Zack Snyder's Justice League was just another one of those. Where it offered a unique value initially was that it was going to be potentially a series, right, which would have had these huge stars playing the most iconic characters on the planet in a weekly sort of format. With it, obviously, when it hits the end of its run, hey, where's the next series? Because everybody thinks of it in a series, right? That was where things originally were being thought of as going. But then it became like, okay, well, no, this is going to be a movie platform as well, like with, releasing with the cinema. And then it's like, okay, well, Zack Snyder's Justice League is going to release in that format also. And it's also then just one among the others, right? And now they can talk about all these other big movies as being the drivers of subscription, hidden amongst Zack Snyder's Justice League. So it's so unclear as to what were the movers and shakers, because the dynamic changed when they made that decision, and that sort of Toby's thing as well. So yeah, if he's not in charge of that and they get to do their own thing again, and maybe they diverge again, because it was always going to be like this track for Snyderverse and this track for the DCU that got like this, but maybe that can go again like this. Who knows who would be involved in it, right? Everybody wants to see the story continue. The story was laid out, and Zack did say he had a continuation of the story, but like again, he's got like a whole bunch of stuff coming up. He's got Netflix, he's got sci-fi thing coming to Netflix, he's got his Army of the Dead universe, which has potential sequels, and we know has prequels, and has an animated series. There's a Norse thing, Horse Latitude. So he's got like a plate that's full for the next 5 to more plus years. So where does Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 or 3 fit into this? It's hard to say, but like that doesn't mean it couldn't continue, even if he didn't decide to come back and do it. If people want to see the story, and if Stone Quarry could produce it or whatever, who knows? Like, who knows how that could work? But it would need obviously some authorization from HBO Max.
Yeah, well, that was my thinking exactly, that it can go on. I don't think it can go on in the way people are going to want it to go on, however. I think it could possibly continue in other media, but I don't think we're going to get like feature films in the same way that we got. I just don't see it happening.
Hard to see that. It's very hard to see that,
it's really hard to see that right now. The reason, as you say, is because not just Zack, do you know what I mean? I mean, the guy's a busy chap, obviously, and I'm sure he's got loads on his plate, which we know he does. But there's lots of other very big, time-sensitive moving parts in order to kind of make this a reality. And moves need to be made that don't look like they're being made right now. So I mean, like right now it just seems an impossibility with the current state of affairs. And even then, even if they did actually start making it right now, we still wouldn't see it for 3 years. So I mean, like, it's hard to take. It's a difficult thing to say, and I want it more than anything. But Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and 3, man, I just don't see it happening. Not right now.
Do you see Netflix maybe saying, "Hey, do you want to try and do your own superhero series on Netflix?" And he just kind of like vicariously finishes his Justice League films with different characters. Like, this is Batman. This is some guy who also lost his parents outside of an opera theater or whatever, and he does this, and this is Barkside.
Well, he did joke on one of the streams there recently, like, and said, I think it was the one with the Nerd Queens, maybe during Justice Con. He said, like, what if I made a fan movie? Because like people are able to make these fan films and put them on YouTube, which have characters that are DC characters, and they're not getting paid, right? So he's like, well, he didn't get paid for this, so it's kind of a fan film. I mean, he didn't get paid for the news part. So I mean, and look, there's loads of ways of financing films and stuff. I'm not saying that's going to happen. It was just a funny thing that he threw out there, like, yeah, it could be made as a fan film, So whether it could be a YouTube special, who knows? But it could. It's good. Look, it could spin off in loads of different ways if there's interest, and these guys are serious, like, business people, and they know there's money to be made. I mean, think about it. I'm just thinking now, and you guys are probably the same. Like, you think of how much you probably laid down for Zack Snyder's Justice League, be it like merchandise, be it like the DVD, if anyone's buying this.
Blu-ray's coming soon.
That's stuff that I wasn't putting money into during the years between BBS and Zack Snyder's Justice League. I mean, I watched the movies. I wasn't into like the stuff. Whereas for this, I've been just picking up everything I can, right? And I think a lot of fans have been doing that. So like, there's money on the table there if they want to continue this forward in any way that they do. But the fact that they currently just don't want to have anything to do with it or him is not, as you've probably seen me say, it's not business, it's personal, it's odd. And
Exactly.
like maybe someday we'll all know the truth, but right now the optics looking from the outside in are just, it's bizarre.
They just want to draw a line under it, from what I can tell. You know what I mean? They've been trying to draw a line under it for ages. I'm pretty sure they thought that releasing Zack Snyder's Justice League, well, as the completion of Zack Snyder's trilogy, whatever. And I'm sure they thought that was going to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm sure they did. I'm sure they thought that we got to do something here. Let's put this out. We can actually make some money off it, whatever, and hopefully we can get these guys to shut up. Little did they know.
If they thought that, then they're kind of still pretty incompetent, because why would you expect us to shut up after that?
Like, I just come to HBO Max just to watch one thing, and then, you know what, I'm going to stay subscribed till I die. Like, I'm happy with this now. I will watch everything HBO Max does because they released this. Like, it's not going to happen.
I'm thinking, I mean, my only thought on it is that, you know, they thought that, you know, it might dissuade enough of us that it would drop the matter. Do you know what I mean? But it's not that I thought it's not that I think they're stupid for thinking we'd shut up. I think that they're stupid for letting Zack make the movie.
Yeah.
Because what he did with it was just like, it was never going to let anyone shut up. After what he did to it, and after what he kind of added to it and expounded on within it, the various teases he left to the sequels, like, it's just crazy. If they wanted if they wanted everybody to shut up, they really should have stopped him from doing that. But I'm glad that they didn't.
They would have watched like a cut right at the end and say like, okay, don't have that tease, get rid of that, get rid of that. Instead, they're like, no, do it all.
I think one of the reasons we, you know, and obviously Mick brought it up, and I'm glad you did that. It was announced before, you know, Toby got in charge, right? So he got in charge back in September, and since then it started all going, you know, leaks started happening, and that Vanity Fair article came out with all the, you know, Joker picks and all that, which shouldn't have come out at that time. And the title fight was going on, and the series movie fight was going on. So I think the people who greenlit it, it was definitely not Toby Emmerich, and he didn't have that kind of power for HBO Max back when it was greenlit. And so I just, you know, I even put out a whole thread seeing the timeline and all that, right? So it basically comes down to Toby getting in charge of HBO Max as well as WB. As long as he had just the WB power, he didn't have any say for Zack Snyder's Justice League. And once he got the power for HBO Max, he said, well, maybe you had plans for Snyderverse going on after you know, Zack Snyder's Justice League, but now we're going to stop it and move on, right? Because obviously, look, the problem here is not that it doesn't make business sense or whatever. It's just, like Mick said, it's definitely personal. And as long as Toby is replaced, I think we can, if he's replaced, I think we have a chance. If he's there, I don't think we do. Because even if the other executive that replaces him, even if he's, you know, a shitty business person or whatever, at least he's a business person. He'll look at the business and just, even if he hates Zack, right? he has to look at the business and just say yes, right? But with Toby, it's like, I don't care if it's the best thing in the world right now. I just don't want it. He's basically saying that. And as long as he's there, I don't think this mentality will do us any good or the studio itself. So I think it's harming even the studio, like from their perspective, even for the DCEU going forward, even it's harming them as well. So over the years, we've been hearing from other, you know, different people from their insider info that people don't like Toby at WB, and you know, that's the reason I think today's article is very interesting. Also saying that he wasn't aware that people are behind the scenes floating him around for other executive roles. I'm like, wow, somebody wants to just push him out, right? And I don't think Netflix will hire him. Like, obviously, no, nobody will want to hire him. And I think this is not a good promise for him to be out, but it's definitely a sign that things might go in that direction.
Why would Netflix even want that old world, old hat bullshit thinking? Do you know what I mean? They're playing chess. Do you know what I mean? WWE are playing checkers here. Do you know what I mean? I mean, this is the thing. Like we were saying earlier on, will the whole HBO Max thing kind of releasing the dual release theaters and then streaming at the same time, will it continue? I mean, Netflix has already beat them to the punch. They're not doing it. They're actively trying to put their movies in the theaters before they're releasing them on their streaming service. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the incentive. Yeah.
Yeah. But just to pose a question to you guys, like we don't have HBO Max here. We have Sky. We've Now TV. I don't know what you have in India, Casey. But like, what's it like as a consumer who's willing to give them money to watch these heroes, watch this director, watch the actors, and because we don't have a HBO Max subscription, we don't matter, and we're a consumer who wants something but they don't listen to us. Like, how disrespectful that is it to you as a fan, and then turns you off. Like, I want to watch all DC stuff, but like, it's just annoying when they just kind of treat us disrespectful. They treat us like, I know they're a business, but you know, we're fans, we're a consumer.
Exactly. I think that's one of the other major reasons that HBO Max performed not that well, you know, when compared to other platforms, is because they don't have a international, you know, presence, and it's very, very slow. Like after more than 1 year, they're now starting to open up in other countries, and that's Disney Plus is now worldwide, and they started just before HBO Max launched. That's just, even they had to go through all those contractual issues and everything, right? It's not like it was easy for them, but they did it. And they even, during their Disney Investors Day, they even you know, laid out all the you know, things they had to do. They said that they had to put this in place 1 year prior to launch, and after 6 months of launching, they finally got it. What did HBO Max do? They're still not in every country. And you know, I thought that latter this year, the latter half of this year, I thought that in my country it will start being available. But in the recent Investors Day meeting, they said that it will just go to Latin America, and that's it.
I think
So
there's a real
that's
kind of
very disappointing.
I think there's a real kind of problem here with the way that WB have kind of organized their licensing in different parts of the world. I mean, there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to actually open up a streaming service in other parts of the world unless they've actually given exclusive rights to their product to streaming platforms that are already working in other markets. You know what I mean? I mean, Netflix have some of the same things that Amazon Prime do. You know what I mean? And I've seen some of the same things on American Netflix as I've seen on Disney Plus and on HBO Max. So, do you know what I mean? So I don't quite understand why HBO Max isn't actually just going out into other markets, unless they've made agreements with major streaming services in other markets to say you can't open a streaming service in this market.
No, I think you're kind of touching on what happened was, in some ways, you know, getting HBO Max out, and like AT&T came in, right, and they said they obviously bought, you know, Time Warner, and they said we want to compete in the streaming content service provision space, right? That's what they wanted to do, and that's what HBO Max is, because they saw that's the future. This is where huge amounts of subscriptions are. Theaters, it's very hard nowadays to get like content made unless it costs a fortune and makes a fortune. So like the cinema model was going crazy. Even like, you know, people like Scorsese were finding it hard to put movies in cinema, right? So when that happens, you know, something's weird. It's either the big tent poles or it's not. So the HBO Max, so they wanted to get into that space. But you're right, like a lot of Warner Brothers content would have been sold to different people, like Netflix. Like, let's say, like Justice League is a perfect example, right? There were cases where Warner Brothers had already sold the original, or I won't call it the original, sorry, the Justice League, right, to say a streaming provider. Let's call it Netflix in some region, and so Netflix paid for that, and that's a contract that says we get to get the value from this, as little value as you can get from Justice League. That's personal, obviously, big, but whatever value they thought they paid for and what they were going to get, they're entitled to that. So you can't just come into the market and then start playing this, right? Because you're just undercutting what you've sold these people. So unless you have to renegotiate that, so, and you can imagine the territories all over the world, different servers. So it's a huge nightmare, right? So I think there was a lot of that to the problem of HBO Max. Like HBO Max couldn't even go to Latin America until the HBO Go switch around would happen, and it looked like Zack Snyder's Justice League wasn't even going to be shown in those regions. And so in some ways, like, they were way behind in terms of getting this out to the world. But I think also at the last minute, between Zach and working with HBO Max, they managed to get it out to like nearly the entire world. Do you remember that announcement was made
Yeah.
early in March that it's going to be
Huge.
everywhere? I think there was a lot of like, I think there was a lot that went behind that, because it wasn't an easy lift. This was a big mess, and it was crazy that it wasn't thought about earlier, maybe by the distributors. I mean, Zach's not, it's not his job to do. His job is to make the product and give it to them. It's their job to get people to watch it and pay for it. That wasn't really well thought out, and again, could have been part of the undercutting, right?
Yeah, I kind of think they didn't give a fuck who saw it.
didn't,
That's kind of what I think.
Oh yeah, they don't want anybody.
Yeah.
They do not want anybody watching this. They do not want it to exist. They hate this. They absolutely hate this, and we love it, and it's great.
After greenlighting, they cannot just say that they're shutting it down.
Sorry?
After greenlighting, they cannot just shut it down. They have to let it play out. So,
yeah, but you can, exactly, and you can let it play out and maybe go out with a whimper instead of a bang. Because these guys, I don't think even saw the movie before they greenlit it.
Yeah, that's the funny part, because they would have stopped it.
Because he didn't set up sequels. He set up animated shows. He set up series. He set up standalone movies. He set up the entire DC universe in 4 hours.
I imagine like the 24 hours before it's releasing, Zach's probably just sat there looking at his phone, waiting for it to be just like, what the fuck did you do? Why did you add in all of these, references to other things? And then it just came to midnight and it released, and breathed a sigh of relief.
Yeah.
They clearly knew something about what was in there when they stopped him from putting Green Lantern in it. They knew something.
True.
True.
They said you can't put certain things in it. There was a list of things that he wasn't allowed to put in, and
then he filmed them anyway.
As far as I know, he got all of them except for Green Lantern, but made it. Yeah, so it all got made, and I think that was the only thing that didn't get in.
I can't fathom why they would deny putting John Stewart in it. I actually can't understand the decision making behind it.
It teases the future, and they had a Green Lantern movie coming out, right? And they didn't want Zach's Green Lantern to be in that one, and they didn't want more installments from the Snyderverse. And also the screening that they had for the Snyder Cut, it was not how it's right now. It was not 4 hours, right? The screening happened back in probably January or February in 2020.
Oh,
and
to Toby and those guys.
Yes. So that didn't have the nightmare scene, and it didn't. I think Zach probably even cut off the epilogue scene, just to show them that maybe it's not going anywhere and it's just finishing or whatever. But even if it's there, the epilogue scene kind of is like a wrap up, right? But the actual thing that teases the future is the nightmare scene, and that wasn't present during the screening. So they probably thought that, I can just let it wrap up.
I think they messed up. I think they messed up because, like, if you have Jared Leto's Joker, I think they underestimated the star power Jared Leto has as Joker.
I did too.
Between the two, wouldn't you put Jon Stewart in? Like, no disrespect to Jon Stewart or Wayne C. Carr or Green Lantern, but it's not as popular as Joker and probably Jared Leto. And Jared Leto brought a lot of people to the streaming service, brought a lot of people to the movie because he was just in it, and Joker is such a popular character. And I think Joker ended up helping the movie a lot, because if he was cut out of it, I don't know if it would have had as much kind of hype around it as the time the movie was coming out, because the Little Things was doing pretty well. Zack Snyder's Justice League was coming. Like, no disrespect to Wayne T. Carr, I'm sure he would have been an amazing star just in name alone.
No, but he could have been there still in addition to Jared Leto's Joker. If he was back in 2020, they could have even brought in Ryan Reynolds. Who knows? So it would have been Ryan Reynolds, the Green Lantern Wayne T. Carr one, and then Jared Leto's Joker. Imagine the impact then.
Well, if they're not going to let one Green Lantern in, they're going to let three.
Like, it was definitely originally in the plan in 2016 to have Bruce Wayne talk to Green Lantern at the end of the movie.
That was filmed.
He shot Ben in London and did that scene. They just never shot the Lantern, right? And then Wayne T. Carr was brought in to shoot the Lantern, and then the mandate was there that you can't do this. Now, it is crazy, like, okay, they don't want him here and here, but aren't these the same people who were just a few months ago at DC Fandom like hyping up the multiverse all over the place. That was their big
Yeah.
thing. So
Oh,
I mean,
No,
this
but
is
that
perfect.
was
the
recorded
multiverse is a
before.
tool for their own ideas, not for Zach's. If you know what I
Yeah.
mean.
But
Yeah.
also that was recorded before Toby got in charge. It was in
Yeah.
August,
They're
so it
still
was
banging on
recorded
about the
before
multiverse.
August.
Yeah.
So they couldn't have changed it, you know. It was all recorded and edited and whatever. So that's the reason why I think that Zack Snyder still had a big presence at DC
Yeah.
fandom.
Yeah, the multiverse thing made it feel like, and exactly, I don't know if there'll be as much talk about it this next one, but it was so that you could have your, like Jim Lee said way back, that like there is no like,
Yeah.
this fan, there's just all DC fans. And fandom last year felt like that because you had this train tracks, which was Snyderverse, and you had this train tracks, which was 84 and Aquaman 2, whatever else they were doing. And they were the two different tracks and they coexisted peacefully at that event. You're right, that was before. That was before the HBO Max sort of merger thing with Warner Brothers, and once you have two tracks, then you've got potential in both directions. Whereas now they've clearly put a stopper on this side. They haven't said really much about this, right? They announced Wonder Woman 3, like 2 days into the thing, they just put it out there. Nobody seemed to know, even the star. And then they're doing this thing with Superman, and they're just, there's all these announcements. But
There's a block in front of one train, and the other one is exploding. I think that's a
the other one
basic
doesn't have a
depiction.
driver.
Yeah.
It's the taking of Pelham, what you call it. It's it's just, who knows where that's going. But this one clearly has got the
Like 310 to Yuma.
buffers
But
put in,
just for, I'll let you guys finish great talking, but just the Chinese numbers, how much power does China have in terms of a streaming or want for more Snyderverse? Because I don't know the exact numbers, but they're pretty big, aren't they, at the moment?
You would think that they would have lots of power, and they are the basis of a lot of decision making. But in this situation, I'm not sure that's the case. I think they're so fervent on actually just drawing a line under this and moving on that they're gonna not give a flying fuck about whatever numbers from wherever.
Yeah. Here's what it makes me think, right? Because I mean, China apparently has its COVID under control and has for a long time, and has theaters open. People went to see Wonder Woman 84. So if this thing is doing these numbers, you can imagine if they had released this in theaters in China and it had that, it's not going to have the same amount because you're never going to have the same amount of people in the theaters just sitting home clicking a button. Yeah. But if it had that level of interest, it would have been huge, and it would be very, very hard to investors of AT&T shares to say, let's stop this train for no reason, but we kind of had a falling out with the guy.
Well,
and I don't think even everyone had a falling out with Zach either. It's just a couple of people over there.
It's the wrong people to be. Yeah, I was gonna say it's just the wrong people.
Yep, just the people.
Yeah, well, the people like, look, he had a family tragedy, and people in that company used that family tragedy to what they thought would enrich themselves. They thought it would benefit themselves when they made these decisions. They thought it would benefit their friends and put their friends in positions of power when they made these decisions. And they were all made on the back of Adam Snyder's death. So they used that to benefit themselves. That's what they did. And that's pretty reprehensible. And it was a failure in the end because they were short-sighted in how they, like, what they tried to do, right? It was a disaster. But make no mistake, that's what they did. And the guys who made those decisions, some of them are gone, right? And some of them are still there. Matt is not one of those people, right? He's part of the sort of current problem. But yeah, Toby Emmerich was there during that time. And
the funny thing,
other than kind of waiting for the morality police to turn up and arrest them all, there's really nothing that can be done. You're just kind of waiting on karma really to come and get them. Is the problem?
Yeah.
The funny thing about that, the funny thing about that is that if they actually wanted to go in a different direction, right, they could have coordinated that with Zach and use his characters in a closing type of a movie or whatever storyline they want to put it. But they decided to be aggressive and calling shots at them and go in a very negative way, and that's not working out for them. And the Zack Snyder's Justice League success itself, especially with the critics and the general audience, that was a huge blow in their faces, and I loved seeing every bit of it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're running, if something like this happens, there's different ways you can go about it, right? You can say we know at the time there were loads of options, and it was like, can we pause it and take longer? But I don't think it was ever during the production of that, before tragedy struck and everything else. Like, I think Zach knew which direction it was going. Like, he had John's on set every day. He had John Berg on set every day. He had them, demanding that he film these lines, these corny lines, that we saw in some of the early trailers, which don't appear in this film.
They'd already convinced him to take it down to one film and leave it. You know what I mean, as well. So
yeah,
this wasn't a shock. I'm sure he definitely knew it was coming.
Yeah, and that's why it's so awesome that he kind of still filmed everything he should, everything that sort of Terrio wrote before they, when they did their rewrite, and then obviously on set there was a lot of rewrites happening, and then things that they were asked to change, but he still managed to do all of Terrio. Like, as Terrio said, he was amazed at how much of that script actually is in there. So like, what Zack Snyder's Justice League is Terrio's intent and Zack Snyder's intent, obviously after the change. But I mean, that's like, we know with Batman v Superman changed throughout it's like production, but the script that those guys had, that's the film we got, plus the pieces that Zack wanted to put in now, like that kind of, to hint at a future story, or close it off in a way that gives it like a potential that's interesting. So it's cool that they did that, and it's amazing that they managed to do that. I don't know if you guys noticed, like, there's definitely two Fountainhead. We all know about the reference to Cortland, which is on the boat. We saw that in Justice League, but I'm sure you guys noticed the newspapers were thrown out of the. So that's it's from the scene from Fountainhead. It's the guys bring Howard Rourke up and basically tell him to this building over here that is his design, that they start putting all these pieces on. They basically Justice League it. They basically say, well, what if we did this and we did this? It would appeal to more people. That's a direct reference to that scene, which is cool. And he did that before anything was changed, because he knew they were fucking with it anyway. So it was never probably gonna come. I mean, his 214, he had his 214, and his 214 had none of the extra Jones crap in there and the mandates. So that was probably the Cortland, I think. But it's cool that he got to extend it.
The parallels between those two stories are actually amazing. Like, it's really, really mind blowing. And to think that, but I mean, like, he's kind of really good at that. He's really good at making movies that are kind of prophetic in their meaning and their actual position within the world and pop culture. It's bizarre. But yeah, I always did like that aspect of it, that he had loads of Cortland references in there in a movie that ended up being absolutely and utterly demolished in ways that he couldn't have possibly imagined.
It's
prophetic. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, it's art imitating life, imitating art.
Yes.
It's circular. It's cool.
Prophetic is exactly what I was gonna say, because usually when Zach says something, in an interview or something, years down the line, if you see some of his scenes, it actually makes sense that he said this years ago, and it actually makes sense now. And this has happened a lot of times. And one thing that I can remember at the top of my head is that in one interview way before he was even tapped to do Man of Steel or anything, Batman v Superman, during the Man of Steel interview, he said that if I'm gonna do Man of Steel or Superman, I'm gonna kill him. That's the first thing I would do. And because he was coming out of Watchmen, right? So my point of view right now is that superheroes are the bad guys, and that's exactly what it did with BVS. Like, he posed the question of the public opinion of Superman, and ultimately in the movie he killed him. And it just shows that 5 or 7 years before he said something, and then it actually happened. And he was like, his views are very he is a very opinionated man, and he knows what he's doing, and he always does it. So that's the most impressive part.
Yeah, it's cool to think how far in 3 or 4 years' time, or after a few more movies, we'd be looking back at things he said now and seeing that they manifest in some way.
Yeah, exactly. But HBO Max has lost his Netflix's gain, and we have Army of the Dead coming in a while. And just guys, get your final thoughts on that. It's getting a big theatrical release in the US. Maybe we're not in better shape here with COVID. thanks to our leaders, but and just people like in the mix. But what's your final thoughts on Army of the Dead, and how excited are you guys for that?
Maybe one of the best things that's come out of this whole Zack Snyder leaving WB debacle, is that they've given him free reign to actually make this Army of the Dead movie the way he would have made it. If you made it under WB, we wouldn't be getting the movie that we're getting now under Netflix. It's going to be absolutely fucking wild, and I can't wait.
Yeah, I agree. Casey?
Yeah, I'm not a big zombie fan. You know, I don't watch and like most of the zombie movies, but this is a Zack Snyder movie, and it has to do with aliens, and I'm a big fan of aliens. So that I'm very much looking forward to. And I'm pretty sure it's not just a zombie, killing movie and all that. I know it's Zack Snyder, and there will definitely be layers. And the most exciting thing for me is the alien aspect, and not just for this movie, because of how it will take us into the future and what could happen because of that aspect. So I'm very intrigued by this concept, and I'm excited and looking forward to it, especially the ending.
Might not just be zombies. Mick, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait. I don't want to hear anything about aliens and stuff right now, because I'm trying to stay as as clean on this as possible. I had Zack Snyder's Sleep he spoiled the shit out of that for me. So I was like, stop. No, I mean, that was also as well. You kind of knew where that film was going, and there was loads of surprises in it, and it was more than a movie, right? Whereas this is like I want to go into this just as a movie.
Yeah.
And I can't wait. I think zombie stuff is cool.
Yeah.
It looks insane. It looks fucking mental. And Netflix are going to press a button on May 21st, and 200 million people have immediate access to this film. And it spans look at the genre, the trailer's gotten cool, huge play everywhere. Everybody loves the idea of it. This is going to span and it's got a huge diverse cast, so it's going to have massive broad interest. I think this is going to be way bigger than Zack Snyder's Justice League was.
Yeah.
Just immediately out of the gate, the Zack Snyder's Justice League fandom is big, right? But this is going to go way bigger and mainstream than that, I think. And obviously it's available to hundreds of millions of people immediately on day one.
And you have a company that actually wants it.
Yeah,
actually wants to promote it. And actually wants it out there. Do you know what I mean? So.
Yeah, they're doing everything. As far as I know, they're doing all the press stuff this week, and so his face is going to be everywhere. Way more promotion. The stars are promoting it. It's completely nearly the inverse of how they promoted Justice League. So it's going to be huge, and I can't wait. And I wish I could go to a cinema to see it, and I can't. So that's sad.
I wish I get an early screener though. I promise I'll give a good review.
maybe there'll be an online thingy. I don't know, like there was for Justice League. Maybe
it's entirely possible. You know what I mean? It definitely is going to get screeners for review purposes to the media and stuff like that. It's not a doubt. They usually will get these things even from Netflix. So
yeah.
We were worried a few months ago, will we get to see the Snyder Cut at all? But now we all have Netflix, and it's going to be there for us to watch, so we don't have to worry about it.
It's when am I going to watch it? Should I watch it as soon as it comes out? Should I save it for the evening? I don't know, Should I watch it twice?
How weird is it now to it is surreal to talk about it, because imagine it hadn't been, we're now in March, April, May 2021. I've said March. And imagine it hadn't been announced. Where do you think things would be? That's an interesting thought process. Where do you think fandom and the asking and release the Snyder Cut campaign will be now? A year on from, because we're coming up on May 20th right soon, so a year on from announcement, where do you think things would be?
It's hard to say. I mean, we were kind of very much running out of new news, new shots and little snippets of information about the original version of Justice League around, it was before the announcement was made in May last year. So it's really hard to say how much steam the campaign really would have had following that. I mean, I would have kept going, fuck it, why not? I got fuck all else going. but it's hard to say exactly how many other people would have kept it up, you know what I mean? I do still think we'd still be asking for it now.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Well, thankfully we don't. We can just rest easy a little bit.
Yeah,
And we have
a
some
completely different set of problems now.
Yeah, well, at least we have a 4-hour movie to tie us over. But what I will say is, to you three gents, thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. It's been a pleasure to talk to you guys, and hope you all can just rest easy, knowing that you've set the world ablaze with your appearance on the Movie Buffs. The world will never be the same. But thank you, Casey. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Mick. It's been a pleasure.
That and the article today.
Yes.
Yes.
Thanks for having us, guys. Like, seriously, thank you very much.
Yes.
No problem.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks. Appreciate it. It's a pleasure, and look forward to chatting with you guys again sometime.
Yeah, definitely.
Likewise.
All the best.
And Lewis, we have another guest coming in a second.
We do. So we're staying in the Zoom call, but farewell to you guys. Thank you for
Thanks,
coming.
guys.
All
Thanks,
right, all the best,
guys.
guys.
All the best.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Cheers.
And then there were two.
That was cool.
Yeah, that I mean, like,
Yeah.
that was crazy.
Guys, if you're still watching, we have Seal Abdul coming in,
Yes.
and he's going to be talking about SambaTV numbers because he talked to the head guy. Just talk about those numbers and the more in depth about the Chinese numbers. But yeah, but that was cool. 3 guys, good discussion there.
Exactly. And I gotta wait for Seal Abdul to come to the stream, and I'm gonna make a break for the bathroom because I'm dying right now. I just right before we went live, I had my tea and I had a load of water, and I've had another glass which I've just powered through, and I'm regretting it so badly now.
Yeah, it's cool having Mick in because Mick kind of he talks to Zach a good bit. I don't know if talks to him at the moment because he's busy and stuff, but he knows like kind of cool stuff about the Snyder Cut process and things like that. So it's cool to get kind of background information to it all as well. But yeah, some cool stuff there. It's good because like we're in the UK and Ireland, and you got KC who's in India, so it's different perspectives. And I'm like, none of us have a HBO Max account. We all want to see we all wanted to see the movie. We want to see more of it, but we all have a Netflix account, and Army Dead's coming to that. I can't wait to see that movie.
Yeah, and it is crazy. Oh, hang on, I might just mute that because you may have been playing twice. But yeah, it's one thing. It's like, this is Army of the Dead. Like, excusing the exact content of the movies aside, Army of the Dead is gonna be like Zack Snyder's Justice League with a company that cares about it. You're gonna see them saying it's Zack's movie. You've seen on all like the trailers and stuff at the end, it's like a Zack Snyder movie written by Zack Snyder, directed by Zack Snyder. They're like, they know he's got a very loyal fan base. They're not fucking around. They're gonna be like, people are gonna be pulled by his name, and one other like pleasant side effect has been seeing Zack like not be afraid to just shit on Warner Bros. A little bit, just be like, you don't. Like, I think he did an interview where he said that you don't have to see like some bastardized version before you see my version. What you're gonna see is what I want you to see. So, it's especially after we've heard things about Warner Bros. Cutting the Snyder Cut. It's like, just for once, just let him do his thing, and then who knows what will come from that. And you never know what the future may hold for it, but at the very least it just seems to be this one thing that maybe we can just enjoy. We can just have this one thing that's just kind of untainted by any of the abuse or any of the like managerial mishaps that Zack's had to endure. And yeah, it just seems unapologetically great, and God, it's not too far away.
Yeah, the thing about it is like, Netflix have fully backed this, so like everyone pretty much knows about this movie, and like I even put it on my list on Netflix, kind of remind me when it drops. Like, all coming had like Army Dead was number 1, and then I had like Spider-Man Far From Home is next. Jay and Silent Bob reboot, stuff like that. It's coming in the next few. It's cool actually. Looking forward to that Ewan McGregor series. I'm not had the trailer first.
Oh yeah, no, I know the one. I haven't seen the trailer for it though.
And he's like a fashion designer, so true story. Looks pretty good. And I watch Ewan McGregor and anything. He's just amazing. Yeah, this film is a diverse cast. The trailer was badass, and it's insane. But if anyone's in the chat, if you can write which character you're most looking forward to seeing from Lost Vengeance, that's the name. That's the group's name. Which character are you most looking forward to seeing?
I'm looking forward to going to the bathroom. Actually, I have to go. I'm absolutely done. Hello, our esteemed guest, but I'm dying right now. I gotta go.
It's all good.
Okay, what's up, man?
What's up, man? It's like the hottest ticket to get in here. Let's see, I gotta adjust.
Yeah,
my
we
camera
we had Krypton Cage from Real Talk Live, my co-host there. We had Mick as well, TPC Mick, and he's in talking about all the good things, and Brian Scully was there as well. So we had a good crew in, and now we have you. We kept the best guest for last. I don't know. No offense to the guests. I caused some Twitter beef. No, but it's good to have you, man. And how are you keeping?
Oh, cool, man. It's really a busy day of content creating. I have a show in about 2 hours from now, but once you told me about this, I wanted to make it. So
yeah, I won't keep you for too long, man, because I know you want to get your notes ready for your stream and stuff.
Good.
And but yeah, I've been watching all your streams actually. You have Becky Sutton on, Picosity. Small Screen does be on as well. And then lately you had the I don't know, I forget his name actually, the guy from SambaTV. He's been on twice now, hasn't he?
Yeah. Dr. Jeff Silverman, the senior director of SambaTV. Yeah.
He seems like a cool guy actually, and he's very open and
awesome.
You think of these big corporate guys who are over these like big businesses, you think like, oh, they'd be snobby or stuff. That guy's he's like a fan. He's like a fan.
Oh man, when I first talked to him a couple months ago, like you said, I had him on previously, and before we started the video, he was talking about all the MCU movies he liked, and like I was like, okay, this guy's cool. We can have fun with him. So yeah. But
did you catch the Chinese numbers for the streaming so far? What's the number they're at right now?
Quite honestly, it's all over the place, right? So I was told initially that number, I mean, it's a big number, okay, for China, but I was told that 120 million number, it's including the trailer views. However that platform works for I think it's called Billy or something like that for China. Yeah. So I'm still trying to decipher what's really the real views, what's the trailer views. I just know it's a big number for China. That's what I was able to kind of, dwindle down to now. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to get the exact numbers for it. I was trying to do a video on it or something. And I was like, wait, somebody's saying 120. There's somebody saying 35. And I'm like, I need to figure this out.
All over the place.
Yeah. But
I just know it's a hit. It was a hit in China, and it's very cool they got it out there finally. Yeah.
Imagine it hit theaters. And they're open over there. No COVID.
Oh my goodness. Missed opportunity from Warner Brothers. Like that's money. That would have been straight. Like the only markets that Warner Brothers gets money from is domestic, in the States and China. All other is like you get a share, but that was your biggest market outside the US, and they dropped the ball again.
Yeah, because you have these iconic characters, biggest characters in the world in a movie, and they're just especially in COVID times, and people want to go back and watch something in theaters.
And they're fully open over there. China's wide open right now with their theaters. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was especially Ryan Chow, Adam characters in it as well. You could have played into the marketing there. I know he's not in the movie a lot, but you could have said like what this guy was supposed to be, and I'm sure it would have helped. But,
yeah, exactly. I mean, he was a very cool character. I mean, obviously, we all seen the Snyder Cut at least double-digit times now, all of us. So Ryan Choi is very cool in the movie, a great setup for his character. And that would have gave, I think, the Chinese market, like, hey, like, we have a budding superhero in the Snyderverse. Like, that's what they had, Crazy.
Yeah, but it is. But the SambaTV member, I see a lot of people online kind of criticizing SambaTV and stuff. Who doesn't criticize stuff online? But
social media.
Yeah, but I know the thing with SambaTV, it doesn't cover every single TV, every single thing like that. But still, the number is pretty high for what it does cover.
Well, it's some misconceptions. Yeah, it's some misconceptions with that. Is that that they only can track smart TVs? That's actually not true. They can actually track any TV. It doesn't have to be a smart TV. You can have an Xbox plugged into it. They can cover that. So that's one misconception. And then they use the same methods that Nielsen ratings use, where they take a sample and they project up. That's exactly what SambaTV does as well. So when they say 3.7 million households, we're not talking about individuals, we're not talking about repeat views, but when they say 3.7 million households, they're saying that's the actual number that they're getting with their data, that it reached that far as far as in the States. UK, I think it was 1.4 for people who rented the Snyder Cut. Households, that individually rented the Snyder Cut. I mean, that's a great number for a pay-per-view. So they put it out there, and they cover more than just smart TVs. So that's a misconception.
Yeah, and obviously they can't do every single smart TV or Xbox, so it's going to be even bigger. It's going to be bigger.
Right.
The number they put out, and I see people comparing it to Mortal Kombat or Wonder Woman, but like those movies were made for theaters. They were marketed as theater movies. Zack Snyder's Justice League is a HBO Max original, and it's the most successful HBO Max original. And like that's what's like the was the HBO Max original. Like, no disrespect, but Raised by Wolves didn't create that much momentum. The flight attendants.
And it was a good show.
Yeah, all the good stuff. The Witches movie, Banana Hathaway, even though that had like over 20 million views on it, the trailer, but it didn't create that big hype. And for something that is the biggest HBO Max original, but the thing is, when Mortal Kombat, Godzilla v Kong, and 184 have sequels and theaters are back open, they will not hit HBO Max the first day of release. They will be in theaters. So what do HBO Max have left? They have a Harry Potter show. That's not even shooting right now. They don't even have the scripts. It's all down the line. They have animated Game of Thrones. That's Zack Snyder's world there. You could do Deathstroke, you could do Joker, and they're not willing to expand on that, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's funny because I made the mistake going to Reddit because people was putting my video of SambaTV on Reddit, and people will send me threads like, I mean, I didn't know it was like so hotly contested on Reddit about SambaTV, right? So I go over there, and like it's two arguments I will make as far as people saying, oh, well, Wonder Woman 84 did better, and Godzilla vs. Kong, Mortal Kombat, right? So the first argument is that, and again, the senior director of SambaTV said this objectively on my channel. He said, HBO Max wasn't worried about beating their own products. That's stupid. Like, why are we? It has to do better than this one. Then y'all all on the same platform. You're winning the whole time, right? As HBO Max. But they said they wanted to beat Disney Plus. And the week that the Snyder Cut came out, they put the numbers out there, SambaTV, that it did better than Falcon and Winter Soldier opening weekend, head to head. Snyder Cut did better,
which was the biggest Disney show.
That's the point right there. That was Disney Plus, like paraded Falcon and Winter Soldier as a smash hit. They spin it off to a movie coming up soon, right? They're developing like Captain America 4. They saw this as a hit. Snyder Cut did better numbers. So it's like, that's a bad comparison to say, oh, it didn't do successful enough. It beat Disney Plus. That's all HBO Max wanted. And then I make the argument that by the time the Snyder Cut came out in quarter one, they came into quarter one with like 17 million HBO Max subscriptions. By the time at the end of it, they added about 3 million. By the end of the first quarter, that's when Godzilla vs. Kong hit, Mortal Kombat hit in quarter two. They have more subscribers able to watch the content by the time the Snyder Cut had its run, right? So, Godzilla vs. Kong benefited from the Snyder Cut bringing more people to HBO Max. Mortal Kombat definitely benefited from GVK coming before it, because we know how that bombed the second weekend. I mean, that's just what it is. So it's like the argument, the goalpost keeps moving. The whole point is that the Snyder Cut was a success, and that's all that HBO Max should care about. So,
and there is obviously the main influx of subscribers will be that point right when it's coming out, but you have to take into consideration the fact that this was announced like a year before it came out. So it's not like everyone's going to go, oh, I'll just wait and then I'll subscribe then. Sure, the overwhelming majority probably would, but there's probably a decent chunk of people who, as soon as it was announced, they went, hell yeah, I'm going to go sign up, or people who just didn't even know about HBO Max. Yeah, exactly. There was a whole year. It doesn't even have to be as soon as they said it was going to drop. It could have been at any one point in that year did people subscribe purely for Zack Snyder's Justice League. So all of the numbers we're getting, and as you say, with SambaTV, all the numbers we're getting are like worst case scenarios, which is like, that should be the thing that is like, that little asterisk at the end of every conversation should be, it could only be better than this, right?
Yep.
You're not going to have TVs over-report. You're not going to say this to you, oh yeah, Zack Snyder's Justice League was watched here when it wasn't at all. Maybe there would be some fault, but it wouldn't be significant.
Exactly, yeah. Like you said, it's like, obviously they're going to not over-project, and that's what they didn't do for Wonder Woman 84. Like, SambaTV they're building a good track record now, and I'm really honored to kind of be in contact with them, because every quarter we're going to come out with different like streaming numbers, which is going to be fun to see what they do. But it's very similar to Nielsen, very similar to the technology that's out there. But they are more instant. Like they can come up with this stuff the next day.
Mm-hmm.
They just posted Bad Batch numbers from Star Wars Day, right? So it's like that was just yesterday. So it's like they are, really cutting edge, and there's no bias at all. So whatever they put out, they're just saying, hey, compared to these other projects, they see it as a success. That's good news, for the fandom. So yeah.
Yeah, the like numbers all around the world, it's insane. China here, there's like a worldwide popularity of this, and it was a success. Just ignoring it, we can see that they did pretty well, but it's like even Jason Killar isn't even acknowledging it whatsoever. But it's annoying for us as consumers because we're willing to pay money to see this stuff, and then you get news today with like Black Superman movie that might not even come out until 5 years from now. And like I said earlier, we'll watch that movie. We have no problem watching it, but there's no communication about Henry Cavill, about Man of Steel 2, the sequel, anything like that. It's just we're all in the dark, and we're supposed to like this Black Superman movie that won't come out till 4 or 5 years. It's not even Calvin Ellis. It's Kal-El.
Yeah, well, I have some thoughts about that. I'll probably wait to my video to kind of come out about that. But as far as so in general, Black Superman, it's funny in that article they used the term tone deaf, referring to J.J. Abrams, directing this film. They thought it would be tone deaf for J.J. Abrams, as since he's not black. But to say tone deaf and Warner Brothers, it's like how. That's the weirdest thing.
It is quite literally the pot calling the kettle black, no pun intended,
exactly.
about color. But...
Hey, like double entendre, right? So it's like, are you serious? Tone deaf? Like, we're in the middle of Henry Cavill's arc. We're literally in the middle of it, and you keep pumping a Black Superman that's still in development. You don't have a director. You've just got a writer who doesn't even have a script ready yet, right? So it's like, who's producing it? Who's I guess J.J. Abrams is, but
yeah, I think so.
It's like you have a skeleton of a project, and you come out with a front page article on Hollywood Reporter about that, on Henry Cavill's birthday.
Yeah,
I might add. Really weird.
Disrespect.
Yeah, really weird.
But maybe the guy, the Silverman from SambaTV, maybe disclosed to you privately, and you want to make an excuse on the movie. But how bad does it look for HBO Max and the likes of Jason Killar by not releasing these numbers when China numbers are visible, when it's number one in the UK as well, and Ireland download and stuff like that, and the Blu-rays coming out here pretty soon on the 23rd. So how bad does it look for them by not just announcing these numbers, just ignoring it when the other territories are pretty much saying, even is it Canada was it was the number one or something like that, different territories.
Mm-hmm. Crave was number one. Sky reported, or I'd just say UK in general. Y'all know that was number one PVOD out there, I believe. Snyder Cut. So it's like SambaTV was saying, they're surprised that HBO Max is not celebrating all of this. Because again, SambaTV, just to put it as general as possible, they don't care about the Snyder Cut. They just they just put out numbers, right? And so they actually care more about Disney Plus, to be quite honest. But so it's when they put it up there objectively, that matters to me. When someone that doesn't have an agenda at all, and they're HBO Max should have been celebrating since Christmas because they've been winning every week versus Disney Plus and Amazon. Netflix is kind of funny about tracking, but that's a whole nother story. But Netflix is king of streaming. It's going to be a while before someone catches them. But HBO Max needs to beat Disney Plus, and they have been since Christmas. But they only talked about Wonder Woman 84. It's very weird. And then they talked about GVK a little bit. So it's it's obviously an agenda there. It starts at the top. It's the usual suspects that's influencing this conversation. So SambaTV sees it kind of odd, but they're looking forward to putting out more controversial numbers, to be quite honest, to get people talking. So even if the SambaTV numbers aren't 100% accurate, or at least something to go by, and for us to say, look, this is what it is. You know what I mean? I know the SambaTV can't get every single TV in the world or in America, but
it's a good gauge to go on. I like Mortal Kombat,
Yes.
72% drop at the box office. Like, that's bad. I know there's HBO Max there as well, so why would you go to theaters if you like a second time if you've already seen it in theaters? Try just watch it at home because it's here available. Like, that hurts those movies. It might even hurt the sequels to those movies as well when they're back in theaters if that gets a minute people. But yeah, and Zack Snyder's Justice League being a HBO Max original, just completely ignoring not only the domestic demand but the international demand is ridiculous. Like, Disney wouldn't do this.
Yeah.
Amazon wouldn't do this. Like Expendables, right? Expendables is a good example of box office. Domestically, it didn't do that well, but China saved that movie, and then sequels were made. You know, so like China's a big factor.
They made 3 of them, didn't they?
Yeah, they're doing a 4th as well.
Oh my god! Thank you, China.
But that's the thing. Like, money talks for so much of this, but with the Snyder Cut, no, it doesn't. It's ridiculous. You know, it's literally, you just think like,
it's an
somebody
agenda.
would go,
It's obviously an agenda. I mean, like, and we talk about, and I'm sure Sean, he's seen my channel as far as the agenda is real, that they want to convince the general public that they're moving. They have some kind of slate coming up that's going to sway them away from the Snyderverse. We'll see how that lands. We'll see still if Zack can do more, but that's the current plan for Hamada. The Hamada regime is to show the audience like, hey, we have something, you know, something sparkly over here. We got Supergirl. We got, you know, all this stuff. It's like, you know, it's not the Snyder Cut. We just saw the Snyder Cut. That was the worst thing that could have happened for this plan. That's how you know AT&T was the one that put out the Snyder Cut. And really, for us to get more, it's up to AT&T. Because Warner Bros. Did not want the Snyder Cut out, period. They didn't want it out. So hopefully AT&T can interject sooner than later.
Yeah. But like, they went about it their own way, because it's a HBO Max original, and you want to make HBO Max look pretty good. Like, the best way would have been to say, okay, our HBO Max original, which is titled Zack Snyder's Justice League, it did this domestically and worldwide. It's the biggest HBO Max originals that we ever had. Even though we don't have HBO Max on these platforms, it shows a demand for our originals all around the world. And then you're looking at HBO Max in a different light. You're like, oh, that Zack Snyder's Justice League did pretty well. But they're not even acknowledging that. It's bad man management, I think. And it might hurt HBO Max going forward, because Wonder Woman 84, Godzilla v Kong, Matrix 4, those sequels won't come out on HBO Max because theaters will be back. What do HBO Max have left right now for
content.
you to subscribe? Yeah, like, I don't.
It's about
what's
content.
big? Like, the Harry Potter stuff is a while away. They sold Lord of the Rings to Amazon, or it's gone over to Amazon.
Right, which was that wasn't a good move. And if you're talking about content, that wasn't a good move at all. I mean, House of the Dragons is going to be big for HBO Max, but I mean, that's just one IP. And that's kind of a shoe-in. I think that was going to do good, you know, as long as you didn't do season 8 again for Game of Thrones. So, I mean, going forward, I was told with HBO Max that they're literally they don't want to celebrate any success outside domestic right now, because, like you just said, Sean, like, that's technically not HBO Max. How great it did in China right now, in the UK, that's Sky, Canada's Crave. So you got all these other areas. They sort of was like, they're not going to celebrate that until it expands starting next month in Latin America. I'm expecting some kind of just celebration if it didn't piss off Latin America too much before the Snyder Cut gets out there, and then maybe we'll see them celebrate a little bit more, you know, of the expansion. But they don't want to talk about anything that's not HBO Max, just as far as what I'm hearing. So it makes sense kind of business-wise, but it's almost like it was successful in the States, though. So you should have celebrated that. You know what I mean? So that's weird.
I just find it disrespectful. It's like our viewership or our money doesn't count because it's streaming. If this was box office, of course they'd be talking about it like it's the biggest thing in the world. You know? Man,
China was like frothing over the mouth for this, but as far as the numbers I'm seeing, like, they were like going crazy over the Snyder Cut. Like, that's box office. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Lewis, you have any questions?
No, I mean, it's just, I think you mentioned one thing really earlier that I think is definitely something that people would want to stop by your channel for, having like quarterly reports from what Samba are reporting. I think that's actually a really awesome thing to be able to have, to be able to talk about that, because it's it's not often that you get a company who's just like, no, we're not going to tell you anything. You know, SambaTV are probably like, yeah, don't say anything, please, shut up, like, stay quiet. Everyone wants to hear it from us now, so that's got to be a great situation.
Yeah, every quarter. In July will be the quarter 2 report. And just the same, like if y'all caught the video where we did the quarter 1 report, and it was like, you know, they break down DC streaming, Marvel DC, anything. Amazon versus Disney. It's a real fun conversation because like we all watch all this content, right? So it's like to have like some smart people in there talking about it, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and the Nielsen numbers. There's no numbers for Zack Snyder's Justice League. Is that because they don't do HBO Max movies or and shows, or was that conspiracy hat time? Or
yeah, I was told so before Wonder Woman 84, Nielsen did not do HBO Max. I was told that Warner Media specifically asked Nielsen to put out Wonder Woman 84 numbers. That's what I was told. And then they were, in turn, not asked to put out the numbers for quarter 1, which include the Snyder Cut. So, you know, obvious agenda again. And that's Warner Media. Like, it's not just Warner Bros. Anymore. There's people, you know, that's collaborating under that umbrella that just, you know, Ann Cernoff and the crew is not up to, you know, up to no good right now. And so Nielsen, in my sense, I'm looking more forward to SambaTV because they do the same sample, you know, ratings that Nielsen does. And they probably have a farther reach than even Nielsen, which again, if people dig into that, they'll see Nielsen doesn't really take, they take about 3% of their data of their homes that they can reach. And then they project up. And that's what SambaTV does actually as well too. So it's gonna be very interesting if Nielsen, you know, continues to, you know, if they expand or not. But yeah, Warner Media, they don't want HBO Max to be tracked actually, unless it fits some kind of agenda like Wonder Woman 84.
Yeah, and the because Grace does the Nielsen top 10 on her videos every week, and for like 3 weeks straight, Coming to America 2 was number 1. I'm like, of course, the Snyder Cut got more views than Coming to America.
Coming to America 2. Like, hey, that was a fun movie. Like one time watching it, I couldn't get through it a second time. But the original is great though. If people haven't seen the original Coming to America, watch that movie. Like, you know, hide the kids. But but yeah, this new one is like, come on now. Now, first off, the funny thing, Sean and Lewis, that's kind of a smack at Paramount Plus. That sucks for Paramount Plus because they owned Coming to America. They sold it to Amazon, and it actually blew up, you know, for Amazon. You know, so I think Without Remorse too. I have to double check that. But Paramount Plus had a couple L's.
Borat as well. Who originally owned Borat? That was sold off. Was it Paramount as well? Or?
Yeah, and see, Amazon bought that as well. That was Borat was actually comparable, they said, to the Little Things on like the chart. Little Things did surprisingly well. I was actually shocked at the side-by-side numbers. And now we see with the Oscar, you know, with the buzz that Jared Leto had, it made sense. That was a great cast in the Little Things. But that was like one of the best titles in quarter 1 as well. And Borat was like right there with it for Amazon. So, you know, Paramount Plus lost again.
Yeah. And like Jared Leto, 2 hit movies within the space of a month.
Oh man.
2 months.
Oh, man.
And like they stand pretty well, and may have even, I don't know, saved HBO Max Q1 a little bit as well, because like those movies were pretty, like there was a lot of buzz around those 2 movies. I think Mortal Kombat, I don't see anyone talk about Mortal Kombat now. Wonder Woman 84 kind of tied down as well. Godzilla v Kong was a big thing because like a Batman v Superman, you got these 2 iconic.
That was gonna be big no matter what. I think that's what people, they try to make this argument. Oh, Godzilla vs. Kong. It's like, that was going to be a smash hit no matter where you showed that. You know, and I like the movie. I think it was a monster action movie. I didn't care about the humans. People say they want a human cut. I don't care. Like, I want to see Godzilla fight King Kong, and that's what I got, you know? So,
I'd pay for there to be like a Monsterverse movie where they have this like A-star cast that just get killed in the first 5 minutes just to prove a point. Just feel like, you're finally getting your monster movie, now shut up.
Not about the humans.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh man.
but no, at least Godzilla vs Kong was a bit better in that regard, and it was just like, okay, yeah, the little girl propels the plot. Fuck the rest of them, you know.
Yeah, the little girl was cool because that was connected with Kong, but everyone else was expendable to me. Personally.
But
Yeah,
this is what it is.
yeah. But see, you got a show coming up. Want to tell people about it?
Yeah. So in another hour here, I got I'm reformatting my channel, right? So most people that see my channel, they're used to coffee talk, a couple of times a week. I'm going to do a little announcement. Where it's just I'm gonna have more of like a premium show every Thursday. More details coming up, right? But today we're gonna have Robert Meyer Burnett in the house with Mikey Sutton. Yeah, they've never been on the same panel together, but they always compliment each other from afar. So I was like, let's get these two lovebirds together on a show and kind of see what we can talk about. It's going to be all about Warner Brothers, what we touched on, Black Superman, the Toby Emmerich article, which is interesting. That came out too.
Like Robert, I watch Robert's channel a lot, and I really like Robert. Very knowledgeable and respectful, and I believe him because I don't think he does it for clicks, right? But he talked about months ago about Toby Emmerich.
I remember that.
You showed on your channel as well, and like he's pretty honest about it. He doesn't hold back. So I'm looking forward to that actually, and see.
I'm gonna ask him about that because I remember when you put those clips up. I made a whole show about people don't know. I made a whole show about Sean's clips on Twitter of Robert Meyer Burnett. Like it was like one of my biggest videos at that time, right? And so I'm gonna ask Robert today about just how they came about with Toby Emmerich and his new information talking about David Geffen trying to float Toby Emmerich to Netflix. That's interesting.
Who wants him?
Yeah, please, anyone.
Very interesting.
Yeah, looking forward. That should be a good one, definitely. Lewis, any closing points?
No, I think that's it. Thank you very much for coming on. We appreciate it. The SambaTV stuff is like absurdly interesting because it's like there has been this desperation for ages. It's like Marvel. They go, okay, yeah, that episode, boom, this is how many views it got, and it gets more momentum, and people are like, whoa, that many people are watching it, okay. But this like one-off of a company just being so adamant that they're going to die on the hill of not telling you how many people watched it is ridiculous. So SambaTV is like that lifeline. So for you to come on and be able to tell us about that I very much appreciate that.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I try to really any misconceptions out there because that's like I said I rarely go to Reddit, and like I said I probably should never go back, but just to see
lesson learned.
these misconceptions out there about it. And I was like, I just had him on my channel. Like he says it at this time point, so I try to just direct people to the information. So
no, and that's worthwhile. And it's very easy because I think that narrative just comes up straight away. As soon as you start talking about Samba, people are like, oh, but this. And it's like,
right.
Even to me, like even with this, whether they're true or not, like it's still numbers, I still want to hear something about this movie that I like. Yep. So I applaud
as opposed
you
to nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Like having to just sit there with nothing is horrible and stuff. But yeah, I applaud you for taking on Reddit. That's brave of you.
Never again.
But so I think Sean and I will stay on for a couple minutes just to wrap up. But thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for coming on. Good luck with your show later. Everyone, go check it out. His Twitter handle is right above his head. So go check him out. Thank you very much,
All right,
man.
y'all take care.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Peace. And there we go. Okay, so yeah, the main reason why I wanted to just give us a little bit extra at the end is because hopefully, if we don't fall asleep or anything beforehand, tomorrow we will technically it's Friday morning at I think it's 12:30 a.m. our time. We will hopefully be going on Nicotina's show. Woohoo! The Movie Buffs goes worldwide. Potentially.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's 11:30 or 12:30 a.m. or something like that.
Is that on Nicotina's channel or
that will be on Nicotina's channel? Yes. So if you are want to see more of us, which everyone always does, obviously, that's where we'll be tomorrow. And yeah, I think that's it. That was really good. Guests were fantastic. That was really awesome chat. And yeah, I don't know if you got
I think
anything.
I think that this kind of format kind of keeps a lot of people engaging in the chat and
Mm.
people watching and stuff. So I think that's the way we should do it going forward, is try and have different viewpoints, different backgrounds brought on. Maybe if you want the start, the middle, maybe the end, stuff like that, keeps it fresh
Yeah,
for everyone
yeah.
to come in and talk their piece. So I think that's a good format. We should maybe continue.
Yeah, well, this is what we do. We discuss all our plans. Yes, we're going to do this, but no, it works.
Yeah.
It works. It's as you say, it's a bit different from one person the whole time. Obviously, it depends on who that person is, but keeping it fresh. I'm sure people enjoy that, and well, we enjoyed that. But yeah, no, that was really cool. I don't think, and we covered everything to death. I think I don't think there's anything else that we haven't talked about yet.
Covered it twice over, but yeah, we should either we'll do a show this day a week, or if anything pops up major between them, we'll do a show. And, if we can get guests, but we want to make sure we do a show where we can get guests to come in. So
yes,
work to your guys watching. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Well, thank you everybody for watching. It's been a longer show today, just over 2 hours, but it was definitely worth it. And we will be, as I said, on Nicotina's show tomorrow. So hopefully, if people want to check that out, that would be great to see you there. But if not, we will see you sometime next week, unless something huge drops.
Yes.
But
Yes.
who knows? All right. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.